Listen closely, because tonight you will hear a story that starts with a child and ends with a warning you can carry into your own room. In a quiet town, a boy named Theo learns that being watched does not always come from a man at the window. The house he lives in is tall and listening, with floorboards that sigh when you step and a street light that hums like a distant engine. Theo is 8, a kid who catalogs shadows and keeps a notebook for every door that does not close all the way. On the first night, he notices a watcher. Not a face, but a stillness at the edge of sight, a presence without hands. The air feels colder, the room lights buzz, and a line of frost crawls across the glass as if someone pressed a breath to the window and did not release it. Theo leans close and sees nothing, just the moon, just the shadow of his own chest rising with each slow inhale. Yet tonight the watcher stamps a rhythm on the glass, a tapping that matches the heartbeat you hear when you tilt your ear toward a wall. The tapping comes and goes, and Theo wonders if it is wind playing a prank or something with a colder conscience. He checks the hallway, the closet, the space behind the radiator, and finds only dust motes and the faint smell of rain. When he goes back to bed, the window fogs with his breath and a message appears in the frost. Tiny letters written as if by an invisible hand. We see you, we listen, we wait. He dare not speak of it aloud because adults claim the mind edits fear into bedtime stories. But the frost does the telling when no one believes. The watcher returns with the clock, arriving exactly at the moment when the house breathes deep and the last light flickers into a pale ember. Theo feels the room tilt toward him as if the ceiling had become a listening ear. The observer does not threaten. The observer asks questions in a tone that sounds like a librarian whispering across a graveyard of shelves. What is your name? Where are your doors? Why do you listen when the house sleeps? The questions do not shout, they drift, and Theo feels the weight of them settle in his chest. The boy answers in a whisper that sounds like a confession and a dare at once, telling the watcher that he will not run, that he will watch back. The watcher tilts its head, a long perspective that sees through walls when the night forgets to pretend it is dark. Behind the pane, the frost rearranges itself into a path, a map of the house that ends at the attic door. A corridor Theo has never ventured alone. The next day, he follows the map in the privacy of a school-free moment, and the attic stairs groan a familiar hymn as if recognizing a visitor. In the attic, a trunk sits beneath a crack of light, and inside it, a bundle of old clothes, a dusty diary, and a photograph of a boy who looks exactly like Theo, older, with a look of patient patience. The diary begins to speak in ink that seems to seep from the page, describing nights not unlike this one, and endings that are nothing but beginnings wearing different faces. Theo shivers, not from cold, but from the sense that the diary knows him better than he knows himself. The oldest page describes a pact between watcher and child, signed in a language that looks like rain on glass and sealed with a breath of rumor. It promises protection in exchange for remembrance, to keep the house and its corners from growing hungry for the forgetful. But it warns Theo that forgetting is the one thing that can loosen the bindings. Night after night, Theo returns to the attic, reads the diary aloud to the dust motes and to the patient watcher, and tries to decide what kind of bond a child can accept without losing himself. The watchers do not vanish. They observe with a calm that feels ancient, and their whispers become a map to courage rather than a threat. On a night when the clock ticks ahead and the frost writes a longer sentence on the window, Theo finally speaks to the watcher as one speaks to a patient guide. He asks who the watcher is, why the house remembers, and what it would mean to forget a memory that refuses to be erased. The answer comes not with loud speech, but with a soft suggestion carried by the chill that travels from the glass into his bones. The diary page flips itself to a closed ledger of Favor's ode, and the map on the attic wall aligns with doors that Theo has learned to trust. The watcher chooses not to frighten, but to invite, to transform fear into a purpose, and to teach a child how to keep a story alive without becoming its prisoner. Theo accepts, because he understands that memory is a loan from those who watched before him, and that the duty to remember can be a kind of safety. When dawn enters the room and the house exhales its long night, Theo seals the attic door with a careful, almost ceremonial click, and goes downstairs with his notebook and the diary pressed to his chest. He learns to sleep with a new quiet inside him, a quiet that is not fear but a listening, steady heartbeat, a reminder that watchers exist to keep the stories from vanishing. If you are listening as you watch, you may feel a similar hush settle over you, a sense that you are part of a larger room where doors sometimes open without a key. The final lesson is simple and strange. Fear is a compass that can point you toward courage if you stop running long enough to listen to what the house is trying to tell you. If you enjoyed this tale, if the idea of being watched gave you a chill and a curiosity, hit like, share with someone who loves a good mystery, and subscribe for more nights where the floor creaks and the walls lean in to listen. Tell me in the comments what you would do if you found a mirror that shows a second room, and whether you think you would answer the door if a child from the reflection asked you to stay with it for another tale. Remember, the watchers are listening, and so are you. Stay curious, stay brave, and keep watching the night.